Hello, nerds around the world. Welcome to episode 53 of the Nerds Unite as One podcast. I'm CM Miller. I'm going to be your host this evening. Of course, and we have hopefully, another great, fantastic show for you tonight. We'll be talking about our top 10 favorite movie scores of all time. And to do that, I have some guys with me. Of course, they've been kind of staples on the show because you know these guys, you love them. And first, we have Mike Gielich from Geeky Salad Podcast. Mike, what's going on?
Howdy, glad to be back again, and glad I'm a staple now. That's kind of nice to hear.
Okay. All right, and also another guy who's been on our show several times. You know, we have Colton Hunt. Colton, how's it going, man?
Yeah, it's good to be back on this episode. I'm sorry I missed the last one after Paul told me to maintain my consistency, so hopefully I'll get it back this time.
Yeah, definitely. It's like we love having you on the show. We both love having you, definitely. Okay, like I said, as I mentioned earlier, we will be counting down our top 10 favorite movie scores of all time. You know, and the movie score to me it's got to be as essential to the storytelling as, you know, some of the characters and some of the dialogue. The pseudo score has got to be integral to how a movie plays out. You know, without a score, you know, I don't think movies would have the might of power as they do in our culture, in our dark culture today. I mean, especially we have, you have some great names surrounding, you know, the medium of film scoring. You know, John Williams. You know, of course, and definitely at the top of the top. You know, Jerry Goldsmith, James Horner. Danny Elfman. You have a lot of people who become big names in this medium, definitely. You know, but yeah, the film score is, you know, the musical score is an essential ingredient to, and it is probably one of the best, probably one of the most important elements to making a movie click, most definitely. Of course, you know, I will start it off, you know, with myself, and going from 1 to 10, you know, in terms of what is the best of the best, you know, in terms of musical scoring in movies. Number 10 for me is Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, what an absolute masterpiece! I mean, what a lively and captivating and magical score to the first, you know, Indiana Jones movie. It's just like, it really is, you know, a true swashbuckling score, classic orchestral scoring. You know, you got some memorable themes, and, you know, of course, the iconic Raiders march. I mean, a little bit melodramatic, but, you know, grand and bombastic in the classic John Williams way. You know, because you got some great, you know, standout pieces. You know, Bad Dates. You know, when the monkey eats the poison dates. You know, of course, Uncovering the Ark is another great, you know, part. You know, there's also the Great Marius theme and so forth and so on. The highlight for me is the music for the Desert Chase. For me, it's just like that is like, I mean, when you were mastered together with the image and the music, I mean, it's hard to find anything else that fits in terms of, you know, marrying the music and the image, and of course the scoring for that scene is just unbelievable. It's just like Raiders is definitely, you know, definitely a classic among movie scoring, and it's just something interesting. You never get tired of listening to that what John Williams did for that whole, the music he did for that whole film. It's definitely iconic. All right, Mike, I'm gonna come to you. What's number 10 on your list?
My number 10, I'm going with Danny Elfman's Beetlejuice. I mean, that one is just, it's such a great playful score. It really matches Beetlejuice's own, like, very playful, if somewhat masochistic demeanor. But I mean, the whole opening score is definitely, it definitely has that Danny Elfman feel. It's very playful, very light, but it's got that weird undertone to it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt the fact that they mixed in all those the songs of Harry Belafonte.
Definitely.
I think that
in that movie that that he uses those Harry Belafonte tunes. I forgot what the name of it is. I'm not.
There's Shake Sonora.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, because that's my mom. I mean, my mom loves that movie. I mean,
oh yeah.
I can't.
Such a great movie and such a great score. So that's my number 10.
All right. Okay. Colton, why don't you give us number 10 on your list? Colton.
I forgot to turn off my microphone. Before I give you my number 10, let me just run down a couple of quick honorable mentions. Like, this list is not necessarily my top favorites of all time, but they are some. Well, they're my favorites, but like there've been like so many movies to choose from that I can't really like. I didn't exactly have the time to put them all to really make a great, definitive top 10 list, but these are the ones that came to me right at the top of my head. But quickly, my honorable mentions are Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And it's an honorable mention because I cannot remember enough of the theme, enough of the rest of the score. But the part of the score that really stuck out with me was when Kirk first sees the brand new Enterprise. It's like it's a theme that's so great that they made it the theme song to Star Trek: The Next Generation. That's how epic that theme is, and it really helps really make you feel that you're watching Star Trek: The Motion Picture and not Star Trek: The Episode with the bigger budget. Right. It's like everybody loves to make fun of the fact that it's just we're watching it's a full 5-minute scene of just Kirk staring at the Enterprise and us flying around to see basically every nook and cranny of it. But the theme that plays during it really does give the moment a very good sense of grandiose and scale that really does help it feel like it's a reward to the fans that stuck with Star Trek all this time and are finally getting to see the Enterprise again for the first time in quite a while. And my next honorable mention is Superman the movie. Okay, Superman is great, but I cannot remember enough of the score off the top of my head and whatnot because I haven't seen it in a while. But I'm still including it on my list because the main theme of Superman the movie. It is what you should. It's John Williams. What are you gonna say, really? I love it because it's the kind of theme that it really makes you really. It's the kind of thing that you would think of when thinking of a superhero and what you think a superhero should do, It's very uplifting, it's very heroic, and it just goes well with Superman, And I also love the theme from the part of the score where Superman first gets introduced to Kryptonite. I think the thing I liked about it is because, well, in addition to the way this theme was shot, the music that plays, it feels like the kind of music that would play when you see it. It works well with seeing Superman being taken down by a normal diseased maniac like Lex Luthor and what have you. But now going on to my actual number 10 is the score from X-Men, the very first X-Men film. It's not quite as good as the other movies on my list, which is why it's so low. But I think what I like about it is that it's got this unique flair to it, I guess. I'm not sure how to put it, but it works well with the film, and it has some very epic moments to it, like the final moment where Xavier is playing chess with Magneto and says, "I'll always be there to stop you, old friend." And then the way the music plays as he's being wheeled out of the plastic prison, it really makes you feel, really sets the tone that this franchise isn't over, not by a long shot. And I think it's helps the theme of the rest and the rest of the score really helps set that this is a very big and very serious superhero franchise and whatnot. Like, it's not simply a case of our heroes stopping rather minor or normal criminals like Batman fighting Joker and all those other people from the Batman franchise. It's kind of a global thing, so to speak. That's what those are my 2 cents on X-Men score. And of course, there is the iconic opening credits of X-Men, which was sadly left off after X-Men 3, but thankfully made a long and overdue comeback in X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Okay, I'm not a fan of the score myself, but I say it's decent the best. I think it was done by Michael Kamen. I think he did that score for X-Men. The late great Michael Kamen, of course, he did score for Die Hard. But like I said, it's a decent the best. But if you like it, you like it. I have nothing against.
It was Michael Kamen.
Huh?
It was Michael Kamen.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like I said, there are better themes. Like I said, I just these are the themes that just the scores that came to me right off the top of my head.
Okay, yeah, okay, definitely, okay. My number 9 is the score for the Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring by Howard Shore. Man, talk about I mean, just talk about a score. You know, I mean, score. I mean, Shore isn't as widely recognized as, say, John Williams or James Horner in the course in the pantheon of scores for of film composers for film scores, but yet he makes his stamp on it, and quite a stamp he did. I mean, for the Lord of the Rings, and he really captured the grandeur and the splendor of the talking story. I mean, there were other names that were attached, like Danny Elfman, and James Horner, who were, I mean, they were, I think, they were one of the list of candidates to score this movie. I guess there wasn't a lot to expect with Howard Shore, but what he did was masterful indeed. It's just like he created an incredibly complex set of, he created an incredibly complex and memorable set of scores with this movie. He didn't give into predictability. I mean, he didn't do anything simplistic. I mean, in terms of, it is very much, a John Williams-esque score in terms of the bombast and the grandeur and and so forth and so on. But it's definitely more than it definitely is more to the score than we know. He really constructs these. He constructs. Some unforgettable. Pieces of music with this whole thing. I mean, I think the appeal of it in the general process is the representation thematically for every one of these characters. Most certainly for the most part. It's really hard to analyze Shore's work, but nevertheless. His work in this movie is nothing short of astonishing to me. And I mean, it's so mighty in every sense of the word. Okay, Mike, why don't we come to you next? What's number 9 on your list?
All right. Before I get to my number 9, I must say that I prefer the X2 score to the original X-Men, and with that one's John Ottman.
Yeah.
He kind of redid that theme.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, my number 9 is also a Howard Shore film, Field of Dreams.
Oh, great.
This one is. I'm not a huge baseball fan. I follow it, but I'm not a huge fan. But this film still, it gets to me because it's not really about baseball. But it's about the feeling, and Howard Shore just does such a beautiful job of incorporating that into his music. I mean, just the general score, the overall theme, is just just beautifully done. It's elegant, but it's down to earth, and it really encapsulates just the emotions that this movie really kind of brings out in me.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That movie is quite an emotional roller coaster, if I say so myself.
Yeah.
Wonderful movie. All right, Colton, why don't you give us number 9 on your list?
Number 9 on my list is the score from Inception, which should not have lost to The Social Network, but that's another story.
Wow.
I like The Social Network and all that, but anyway, Inception. I know a lot of people like to make fun of the way of Hans Zimmer's bombastic score in that movie and how it's kind of inspired other there have been a few copycats since that movie. But what I like about it, I think the bombastic nature of it actually works with this film because it takes place in the mind. What I like about it is that it's not just it's a big score. I'll make my thoughts together. I think what I like about it is that it kind of fits with the it feels like it's a bombastic heist score, I guess, if you will, and whatnot. Like it feels like music you would hear in a heist movie, only played with an orchestra, so to speak, and it really works. Like the first first major score we heard was when it first starts off with them revealing that we're only in a dream, our heroes are just in a dream and whatnot, and as it starts off rather quiet at first, and slowly builds up as our heroes kind of like dish out the rules, like you can't killing someone in a dream will just wake them up and whatnot before they start torturing torture Arthur. Then Leonardo DiCaprio grabs the gun, takes Arthur out to cause the dream to start to collapse, and everything. Suddenly the theme just really suddenly the way the score picks up. Okay, I know I'm rambling, and I apologize for that. The way the score picks up really works well with the frenetic pace of the rest of the scene. And another part of the score that I really enjoyed was when they had to ride the kick out of the dream. And first, like Ariadne throws I can't remember what his name is, but then off the building and then jumps off herself. It syncs up perfectly with the scene itself, and like I said, it's just kind of grandiose in scale, but it's lower on the list because the themes kind of mesh together and sound very similar and whatnot, but it's still good, I think. Good score from Hans Zimmer. Yeah.
Okay, all right, right now. I'm a big Hans Zimmer fan myself. I think his score for The Lion King is kind of okay. It's just, to me, to me, nobody can come close to John Williams. I know he's not like, he doesn't really use big orchestral scoring. I guess it's really my thing. I guess. With Hans Zimmer, he's decent. I'm just not a big fan of him, just like other people are.
I can understand. I don't think I guess you can't really say that Hans Zimmer is like the second coming of iconic movie scores, but I think he's still carved out a nice niche for himself and all that jazz. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. Okay, going on to for me, number 8 on my list is the score for the 1933 King Kong by Max Steiner.
Pretty good one.
Mm-hmm. Huh?
That's a pretty good one.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's nevertheless an innovative score, to say the least. It's the first score. The first movie score to where the music is just basically commenting on the action of what's happening on the screen. It is really, in a sense, it has another dimension. It is essential part in telling the story. It's nevertheless thundering and moody in the style. Nevertheless, I think the score is kind of antiquated due to the fact that yes, it is a score from the early years of Hollywood. But man, it's just like you feel like you're actually going out into another land, in a very mysterious and very fascinating lost world, if you will. And Max Steiner does that with his music. And he just brings out some incredible themes and motifs. For these throughout the entirety of the movie. He really works his magic. With this film. It is nevertheless an iconic part in movie scoring. It's truly a masterpiece. Okay. Mike, why don't you give us number 8 on your list?
All right, my number 8. Speaking of Hans Zimmer and The Lion King, it's The Lion King.
Oh, okay.
I do like Hans Zimmer a lot, but for me, this is by far his best score. Anyone that has any doubts about that, just listen to the score when young Simba is finding the body of Mufasa, sorry. There's such raw emotion to that. but by far my favorite piece from that is right at the end. Scar's been defeated. The rains have come, and they're washing the fires out, and it's time for Simba to take his place as the King of Pride Rock. And as he's walking up that rock, I mean, the music, you can actually find this piece on YouTube. I highly recommend it, because if you do not get shivers as that music builds, you have no backbone. You have no central nervous system.
Remember.
Exactly. It is so beautiful. It is amazing. That one piece. I love this score, but out of all the scores on my list, that one piece may be in my top 3.
Okay, all right. There's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, there's nothing really wrong with the Lion King score to me. It's definitely a decent effort by Hans Zimmer. I quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
Golden, why don't you give us number 8 on your list?
Before I do that, though, I have to make a correction. Back when I was talking about X-Men, I said I liked how the opening theme for that movie came back for Days of Future Past. That was actually the opening theme of X-Men 2 that came back for Days of Future Past.
Yeah, the John Ottman score there, yeah.
Yeah, like when you said John Ottman, I'm like, wait a minute, I had to go back and check, and so I should probably turn in my nerd card for that. But anyway, though, my number 8 is, let's see here now. My number 8 is Die Hard. And basically, the entire score for, like I said during we were talking about our favorite movies of all time, and I said Die Hard isn't just an action movie; it's the action movie. I think Die Hard's score is the action movie score. Like everything about it just sounds like something you would hear in an action movie. Has the perfect amount of just badassness to it. It just makes you want to just yell out and root for John McClane during the entire fight and whatnot, especially the final bit where especially the bit where he's trying to save his wife from falling to her death as Hans has a grip on her arm, and God rest the soul of Alan Rickman. Just throwing that out there. But anyway, just as he's about to shoot Holly, John finally gets him to let go, and the way he just falls to his death, it's like the perfect defeat of a villain music, if you will, and it's timed well with the scene as well, among other things. Fun fact about that scene is apparently they're going to release Alan on the count of 3, but they released it on 2 so they would get the perfect reaction from him. And
that reaction was beautiful too. He was like, "I didn't think you'd do that."
Alan Rickman was apparently pissed off about that, from what I've read. Hey, haven't you ever heard of dying for your art, Alan? Okay, I shouldn't have said that.
Lost the train of thought there, huh?
Yeah, but
I think
anyway, like I said, it's a great score. It just works perfectly, and it's even the quiet bits of the score, where it's just John doing whatever, talking to himself, trying to figure out what to do next. It still fits perfectly with the movie. It's like the definitive action movie score.
Okay, all right, definitely. Like I said, I think it's an okay story for the most part. I think it's a little repetitive in some instances, but it's decent overall. I have nothing truly against it. It's decent at best. Okay. Going on to number 7 for me. Number 7 for me is the Adventures of Robin Hood. It was just a score to the 1938 version with Errol Flynn, Olivia de Havilland, and the scores by a gentleman by the name of Eric Wolfgang Korngold. He was a Vietnamese. He is a Vietnamese composer. He's a composer of operas and so forth and so on. And he was the guy who provided the music for this film. And he had done Flynn's Captain Blood, I think, 3 years before. And he didn't want to do the score for this movie. He felt it had so much action in it. But what he does is nothing short of fantastic. He is really a tight, breathless underscore. It's really one of the great classics. And what he does is amazing. The themes he creates are just so beautifully. It's just so beautifully written and arcing. Just beautiful, sweeping, arcing arching melodies. You know, it's just the orchestration is very lush, and it's just like it's just like it's the perfect counterpart to this whole thing. It's truly one of the great scores. You know, it's a swashbuckling delight. I mean, and of course, this is one of the scores that inspired John Williams for Star Wars. You can sense the DNA in it. It's the kind of brash and kind of lush, adventure movie scoring. Although I find his score to the Seahawk a little bit more polished, his score for The Adventures of Robin Hood is nevertheless short of spectacular. This is a score I can listen to time and again. Okay, Mike, why don't you give us number 7 on your list?
All right, my number 7, going back to Howard Shore for Apollo 13.
Okay.
I mean, the whole score is very. I mean, it matches the action perfectly, like the drama, the intensity of these guys stuck in space. Will they make it home or not?
Yeah.
But I mean, once again, the final bit, the part where they go into blackout. They're waiting for them to go back into radio to get radio contact as they're coming back into Earth. I mean, it's just like a slow build. You're not sure how it keeps it fairly quiet, and then as you see like the shuttle pop up again, and you see the parachutes come in. That's when it just it bursts onto you and just hits you with all that emotion that's building. So I think he's really good at manipulating your emotions that way, and he does it really well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I'm not a big Howard Shore fan, but yeah, nevertheless, his scores are absolutely, nothing short of impressive. They're really brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Colton, what's number 7 on your list?
Number 7 on my list is the score for Back to the Future, number 1. I really like that score because it's a simple score, but the beauty is in the simplicity sometimes. Like, it's a very uplifting score for among other things, like this score that plays when Marty goes back into the future and Doc just leaps for joy at seeing something he created finally working. It's like the kind of music you would want to play whenever you accomplish something big and whatnot. And the rest of the theme is great too. Like the main theme, it's not even big, but for some reason the way it just perfectly fits with the movie. If that makes any sense. The way it perfectly fits with the movie just really. Oh my gosh, I apologize for my rambling thoughts during this episode. Let me get my thoughts together for one quick second.
I mean, Alan Silvestri did do a great job with that one. My favorite part of that score is where he takes the song Earth Angel, and right at the end he puts that extra little bit on there just to make it fit more into the score. I mean, that's my favorite version of that song now because of him.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Thanks for that addition, Mike. You saved me and bought me a little bit of time.
No problem.
Okay, another bit of the score that I really liked is actually the score that plays at the end when the DeLorean takes off. It's like Marty's saying we don't have enough road to go up to 88, and then suddenly the DeLorean starts to take off, and the music that plays during it perfectly reflects the sudden shock value of that moment, and it's like the moment where just when you thought something couldn't get any better, it suddenly does, and then bam, to be continued. Okay, only to be continued on the VHS release because it wasn't supposed to be a trilogy originally. Newsflash, Robert Zemeckis: if you didn't want them to make a sequel, you should have made a sequel hook ending as a joke.
Yeah, definitely. This is like that whole thing. Al Silvestri. Oh, it's like I mean, the ears is just like it loves it. It loves what he does with that whole movie, man.
Yeah, and like I said, the rest of the theme really fits with all the movie moments with it. Like George punching out Biff. It's the kind of music you would play when you're finally rising up to a challenge. Him kissing the rain. It's a pretty good romantic moment, and it all just fits.
Yeah, it's just like that score is just electrifying, and it's just like breathless. Just the movie itself. I just love that soundtrack. Okay, all right, on to number 6 for me is the score to E.T. the Extraterrestrial by John Williams.
Nice one.
Yes.
Very nice.
classic, 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 classic. And the interesting thing about it is that there's some people who are not a fan of the score. There's this
Really?
guy, yeah, there's this movie critic who I read his reviews of. The guy named James Brandinelli, he said the movie, with the exception of the E.T. theme, the soaring E.T. theme, he says the movie as, quote, the movie's music as, quote, unmemorable and spectacular, easily the weakest of Williams' major motion picture actors. It's like, he could have been even more wrong.
Does this guy even have ears?
Ooh.
It's like, that's kind of that could be incendiary in itself in terms of, taking shots at a score as unforgettable and wonderful as, the score for E.T. the Extraterrestrial. It may be better than Star Wars. Star Wars is certainly my favorite, but, I mean, the melodies in E.T. are never short. It's just one. I mean, like I said, they're absolutely terrific. You have that. Had that. Just a magical, just kind of. I don't know if it's a dreamlike quality, but there's certainly a magical one to this whole score in terms of Williams underplaying it for the whole thing. This is like there's so many great pieces, especially the piece where E.T. and Elliot are flying on the moon. It's just like you hear that theme. It's just like that shows you the power of his music. I mean, it's just like he involves you emotionally. It makes you want to go out on the bike and ride past the moon or something like that. Definitely. Of course, there's some great the great music. This is really spectacular music in itself. The scene where the cops are chasing the kids. Just like the whole escape. Of course, and his music. Definitely is just like gets you. It's definitely it's just like it definitely gets you emotionally, especially in that the last moment where E.T. is saying goodbye to Elliot. I get welled up. It's just like seeing his music and the images. It's like this is why John Williams is one of the best. He understood. I mean. The importance of a movie score in terms of be another character, and his score for E.T. is no exception. Mike, why don't you give us number 6 on your list?
And I can't believe I forgot E.T. That should have made my list, but it's also hard to take anything off, so I'm going to leave it to you, Guy.
Okay.
But yeah, my number 6 is 1989's Batman by Danny Elfman. I mean, that score has become so iconic with the Batman figure. I mean, it was the theme song to the Batman the Animated Series, which is quite possibly one of the best cartoons ever created. And I mean, what Danny Elfman did for Batman is kind of similar to what John Williams did for Superman. I mean, it's become that iconic and that quintessential to the character. It's just it's a dark one, but it embodies like almost like the bravado and the bravery that is Batman almost, and just in the music itself. It's a beautiful score. Movie. The movie is fun. It's not my best Batman, my favorite Batman movie, but it is definitely up there. But the score is second to none when it comes to the Batman films.
Definitely, I have to listen to that score again. Definitely, Danny Elfman just he worked wonders with that whole film.
Yeah, and it's weird because it doesn't really sound like. It doesn't really have all the earmarks of a standard Danny Elfman score. No. Like the Beetlejuice one, that sounds like a standard Danny Elfman score.
Go ahead.
The Batman one, it almost doesn't. It's Danny Elfman, sure, but it's different than anything I think he's ever done before.
I think what he did with like Jerry Goldsmith, it's like I believe I think why it isn't recognized. I think it's why it's not recognized as a traditional Danny Elfman score. Is he was able to adapt his own. He was able to change his style according to what the film, what the script required of him. I guess
Which is amazing. I mean, yeah, not a whole lot of composers can really change up their stuff like that, and that's. I mean, Danny Elfman doesn't do it often, but when he does, it's something special.
Yeah, it was John Peters was even blown away when he first heard that Batman theme. It's just like, wow, it's just like, oh man, just like, it strikes something within you, man. Just, yeah, definitely. All right, Coleman, why don't you give us number 6 on your list?
Number 6 on my list is the score from Alien. This is a movie that always makes me feel uneasy whenever I see it, and part of the reason is because of the score. Like when they go on to the space jockey ship and see the fossilized jockey and his ribs being blown out because of an alien had broken out of him. It makes me feel like our hero should just get the hell out of Dodge immediately. It's a very low key score, but that really helps and heighten the scene. Especially since it's the kind of music where if it was played if you're by yourself in a dark room, you would be looking over your shoulder every 2 seconds probably.
Oh yeah.
And of course, the theme that played when Ripley had to her, Parker, and Lambert are about to be killed by the alien, and she goes rushing to try to rescue them. It has the perfect amount of dread and almost hopefulness to it. Like it sounds like she might get to them in time, but then as she hears Lambert being killed over the sounds of but then she hears Lambert being murdered over the sounds of over the speakers and whatnot, and then the music just stops and like, damn, she's too late. And let's see here. Probably one of my favorite bits of music from Alien is the scene where I can't remember his name. I think it was Brett, where the first person to get killed by the alien himself, like
Brett.
Brett. When we first see the alien, at first we part of the charm of something that I didn't realize was actually a pretty big deal for Alien at the time was that when we first saw the chest burster breaking out, it was just a small, tiny little thing. But then when we actually see it appearing behind Brett, that we're like suddenly like, holy crap, that thing's huge! And when Jones is just backing away from Brett, and we're like, turn around, you idiot, turn around! And when he finally does, and we see the alien right, and he sees the alien in front of him, it's a very quick and simple score, but it really works because the alien quickly kills him and then disappears back up into the vents. It's a very good way to really introduce. It was a very good way to introduce how dangerous the alien was, I think, especially since we didn't really, and the fact that we didn't even see much of the death. It was like just a 2-second cut of seeing his head being punctured by the alien mouth, and then bam, he's being dragged up. The score just really helped him capture the tension of the scene and whatnot, I think. And again, it's the kind of thing where if it was playing while you were in a dark room, you'd probably just want to start bolting in the the closest exit you could find.
Definitely, Jerry Goldsmith. I know they cut his score extensively, but nevertheless, man, does he put you on the edge of your seat, man? It's just especially the opening titles, the very mysterious and very haunting and brooding, melody there, man. It's just it really sets the tone. Definitely.
He keeps the score very low key, but always just there in the background to enhance the visuals.
Right, definitely. It's of course, it really matches up with the production design and the whole thing.
Like I said, the Nostromo is one of my. Alien has some of my favorite sets of any film I've ever seen.
Definitely, it's it was great score nonetheless. Okay, going on to number 5 for me. Number 5 for me is.
Nicely done.
If this music doesn't make you want to be a superhero, I don't know what doesn't. You feel when you hear that, you want to put on a cape. You just want to burst up into the skies, going up in the wind.
This looks like a job for Superman. What?
I'm telling you, John Williams' score for Superman the movie is a masterful score. It's you wonder what prompted this man to create something as iconic as memorable and as wonderful as the score for Superman. You know, what can I say about the main title thing that's hasn't already been said? It's just like when you hear that, you don't get goosebumps. I don't know what score will have an effect on you, but you know, it's definitely just like even with with hearing that score along with that incredible opening title sequence with the swooshing letters and 3D letters. It's just like, it makes for an experience, man, definitely. But there are definitely some memorable pieces of music. You know, there's that Krypton fanfare, and this very 2001-esque, and you know, this is like it's definitely a terrific piece of music, definitely. Of course, you have the great love theme for Superman and Lois. It's just like it sounds very cosmopolitan, but it's a very alluring and sweeping melody, though. You know, I do like the March of the Villains. You know, it's kind of a fun. It's a very light and very funny and a very great piece. You know, there's some great action things, especially the helicopter sequence. You know, that's just like the dramatic centerpiece of the whole movie for me. It's just like it's a piece of music that really pulses, really sets on you, grips you. It's definitely a pulse that really sets the tone. I mean, it makes it a really pulse pounding scene, definitely. I mean, it's definitely one of the highlights of that whole what is undoubtedly a classic score in movie history, definitely. Okay, all right, Mike, why don't you give us number 5 for your list?
All right, my number 5 is Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, I can't really go beyond what you've already said. I mean, you pretty much captured it, but I mean, the overall theme is just synonymous with Indiana Jones now. It's synonymous with like that 1940s, 1950s adventure style, and yeah, I mean the chase through the desert where he's jumping from truck to truck is just amazingly done, and just the whole score when the Ark is being opened. It starts off like nice and holy and nice and peaceful, and suddenly it twists and it just gets dark, and it's beautifully done. It's awesomely done, and it's just I love it so much. John Williams, actually, my top 5 are all John Williams, so so you know what's coming up for me.
Imagine we'll probably be hearing Jaws in a moment or two.
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Okay. Yeah, Raiders. Magical, absolute magic there. Who doesn't love Raiders? The music for Raiders of the Lost Ark. All right, Colton, why don't you give us number 5 on your list?
All right, number 5. I was going to include Raiders of the Lost Ark on my list, but decided to leave it off for the sake of having a little bit of variety, and looks like I made a good choice seeing as you guys both brought it up. So number 5 on my list is actually the score from Captain America: The Winter Soldier. What I love about this score is that just like the movie itself, it really highlights how different this film is from the original, whereas the Captain America: The First Avenger had a score that was pretty uplifting and something you would probably hear from that time period. This score reflects the time period. I think it has a bit of a sinister edge to it, like the scene where like Bucky's theme, the Winter Soldier theme, the spoiler, the Winter Soldier theme. It's kind of like reflects Bucky's psyche, where it's kind of buzzing and whatnot, and like his head is kind of it's kind of like okay, whew. Again, stop and gather my thoughts. Okay, like I said, it's a bit of a sinister edge to the score and whatnot. Like the scene where Nick Fury first gets ambushed by the Hydra soldiers, it really helps you feel like, yeah, things are just got real, among other things, and that these guys aren't the pushovers like the original Hydra group were. And then the way the Nick Fury chase music transfers into the Winter Soldier theme was also really helped capture that tension, I thought. So like I said, it kind of reflects Bucky's psyche a little. I think it's a little scrambled. There's in addition to the weird buzzing noise, it's also kind of scrambled up like Bucky himself. His memories are all jumbled up mismatch due to what Hydra did to him, among other things. But I also love some of the other non-action scores, like the score that plays when they blast the helicarriers out of the sky. It's the kind of music that you would kind of picture where something important happened, but you weren't entirely sure if it was the right thing. Like capping the others, they needed to do it, but they were also crippled. It was the kind of the final nail in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s coffin, for the time being anyway, where we had to finally accept the fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. was gone, and it's a pretty melancholy moment, and the music does a very good job reflecting it. And then the music that plays during the credits is also a very good reflection of how this is different from Captain America: The First Avenger. It's a bit of a modern patriotic score, I think, for during the closing credits, where it makes you really want to jump up and do the right thing, I think, like Captain America and the others did.
All right. Okay, going on with me. We'll make it into number 4. All right, number 4 on my list is... You don't recognize that music. It is the absolutely astounding score to Lawrence of Arabia by the French composer Maurice Jarre. I mean, this score is every bit as majestic and captivating as the movie itself. You know, it's got some. Despite the film having some unforgettable images, you know, of course, the great performance of Peter O'Toole as the main character, you know, just the immediate impact of Jarre's score is nothing short of astonishing. It's just like, it's really a sweeping, the score is such sweep and such such wonders. It is nevertheless exotic. I mean, his desert motifs, definitely for the movie, they absolutely, you know, they wed perfectly to what you see on the screen. You know, I mean, just like the combo alone, you know, the cinematography, the whole, you know, the writing, especially the director, just what you see on the screen married to the music. Nothing, you can't beat it. It's music at its best. It's just like, you got a theme that not only supports the movie, but it gets under your skin and never lets go. It's a score that grips you from beginning to end. It's nevertheless a monumental score in its own right, definitely, most certainly. All right, Mike, why don't you give us number 4 on your list?
All right, my number 4. You brought it up just a moment ago. Superman. I mean, for me, what makes this score is so especially special is the fact that when you do listen to it, like, and it does that da da da. I'm not hearing music. I'm hearing the score saying Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably the only time I've ever heard a score actually speak a word with music.
Yeah.
It is just mind-bogglingly amazing, and I mean the love theme between Lois and Superman. It's kind of sappy, but it fit with the time, so I don't really hold that against it. But yeah, I mean the whole Krypton theme and the music playing as the shuttle is making the trip to Earth, and the whole growing up in the very first appearance of Superman, the music just it fits the score so well. It's just every single piece is exactly where it needs to be, and that's what John Williams does so perfectly well.
Right on, definitely. Okay, Colton, what's number 4 on your list?
Number 4 on my list is, well, let's see here. Speaking of John Williams, Jurassic Park. The thing I love about this theme is, well, it's a theme. Well, one of its themes. The main theme of Jurassic Park. What I love about it is that it's basically a theme that plays as our heroes are going to a park about for dinosaurs, the kind of thing that should scare children to death. Yet it makes me think that Jurassic Park would actually be a great idea, you know? It's so uplifting that you just can't help but want to just go in there and see all the dinosaurs, in spite of the numerous disasters the park has faced, you know? And it's just John Williams doing what he does best, among other things. But I also like the music that plays during the action scenes, like anytime the Raptors are around, the music that accompanies it, perfectly, like, okay, I know I use perfectly a lot, it just perfectly captures like the kind of creatures that they are. They're creatures that are fast and they're killer. I was obviously not prepared for this episode. Okay, which is why I'm doing so much rambling. I apologize, Chris and Mike. But like I said, the theme for the Raptors, it perfectly captures the kind of creatures they are, like fast murderers and all that jazz, and fast hunters and what have you. And let's also not forget the music that plays when the T-Rex shows up out of nowhere to save the day. It makes absolutely no sense that no one realized that the T-Rex just waltzed into the visitor center, but it's so like uplifting and badass you just don't give a crap about it. That's how good the music was.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Especially, you know, I get chills when I hear that do 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 do.
Yes, of course, that moment when they first see the dinosaurs. Yes, that is just spectacular, and it's just the moment where suddenly it's like, especially since like CG was like as we all know, like that this was like early '90s, so CG was still kind of in its they were still working the kinks size CGI and all that jazz. So to actually see them create something as great, the music that plays, it's suddenly like you know how what's his name Ian says, "You son of a bitch, you actually pulled it off." It's actually with,
you crazy bastard, you did it.
It's almost like they're saying it's almost like this music is congratulating not only John Hammond for creating dinosaurs, but the effects team for actually pulling off the CGI needed to create the dinosaurs.
Right. Definitely. That score, just like, there's a number one I never get tired of hearing. Score is wonderful, absolutely. Okay, going on to the top three. Number 3 on my list is. Mm-hmm.
God created the devil and gave him Jaws.
For the original and the ultimate shark movie. Yeah, Jaws. You know, John Williams' score for that movie is nothing short of fantastic. I think it's like he really. I mean, I don't think the word. I don't think that the word masterpiece. I mean, people tend to throw the word masterpiece very lightly. You know, with the score, I mean, you can't use it enough. I mean, you can, especially with this opening theme. It just, you know, that kind of throbbing and kind of, you know, very primal and really tense. You know. The fashion in which how the scores, I mean, how the theme is executed. You're basically scared shitless. I mean, it makes you not want to go in the water. And Williams captures that, you know, that sense of fear and tension and the kind of anxiety quite well in this in the score. Is it his best score? No, it's definitely one of the best. You know, it really, and it's been referenced and parodied. That theme has been referenced and parodied time and time again. You see, I mean, example, the movie Airplane. That opening is like. And when you're watching that movie, it's like, really? I mean, but in a good way. It's kind of funny, you know. It's used to a great effect, though. But nevertheless, you know. But again, yeah. I mean, it's more than just a theme to the score. It's true. I mean, it's not just scary for the sake of being scary. It's actually really is actually terrifying to listen to. The sound of it is just like, you know. From confronting, it's just, you know, it actually makes you confront the reality of it. It is so embedded in your mind, and you know, it's hard to find anything that comes close. It's so indelible in our culture, most definitely. It is definitely something that will not be beat in terms of movie scores, most certainly, man. Okay, Mike, why don't you give us number 3 on your list?
All right, my number 3 is. Yeah, big old Jurassic Park there. Again, I mean, John Williams just does this so marvelously. I mean, just the opening theme, it like starts off very dark, like that dong, and it's got that almost like that stomping sound that you hear later on with the T-Rex, but then it goes into that just theme park sound. It's but I mean, more than just that theme, just the whole thing. I mean, the chase, the raptors chasing them it's just a very quick, it darts about just like the raptors. He just uses the music to embody the animals very well, as he does in a number of movies. But Jurassic Park, I think, is just it's really, really good.
Yeah, definitely, most certainly, absolutely. Colton, why don't you give us a number 3 on your list?
Number 3 on my list is the score to Inside Out. Inside Out, it's one of my favorite Pixar films ever, and the score really helps it out, among other things. I say among other things a lot. Anyway, what I like about the score is that the score just really goes with all the emotions, but not in a way that's like on the nose, I guess you could say. It just does a good job of feeling like something you would just hear if someone was feeling happy or sad or angry and whatnot. And the main theme for Inside Out, that I think it's like Joy's primary theme, it's something that plays that whenever you hear it, you just can't help but not want to put a smile on your face, but at the same time, there's also something of a bit of a melancholiness to it that you might maybe think of when you're sort of feeling a bit down, perhaps, but you also want to put a smile on your face, I guess you could say, which is also what the movie is about, bringing sadness and happiness together and what have you. And like I said, when the music that played when Bing Bong met his, well, you know what happened. We all know what happened to him. When that music played, I just was ready to just break down and cry. Okay. Like I've said a few times, you can keep Toy Story 3 and up. This is the Pixar movie that tore me to pieces.
I still have yet to see that movie. I have heard nothing but great things about it. Boy, with me, because I love Pixar so much, it's just like what the guys do over there. It's just like you really gotta admire those people over there.
You definitely need to see it when you have the chance. It's like if there was any doubt in the minds of people that Pixar maybe on its way out after Cars 2 and Brave kind of underperformed, and then just go and see Inside Out, and your faith in them will be restored. Of course, then The Good Dinosaur came out, and I've heard kind of mixed things about that, but whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but definitely gotta. It's definitely worth revealing, of course. Okay. For me, going on to number 2. I mean, for me, my top 10 favorite movie scores is. Oh, that thing. When I hear that theme, every time I hear it, I'm just transfixed by just like what Max Steiner did. You know, the score to Gone with the Wind is like with Lawrence of Arabia and Star Wars. I mean, it's nothing short of monumental. It's definitely it's definitely really a true milestone in movie history. Most certainly, you know. I mean, it's just what he captured with that. Was the score for a movie over 3 hours? You're truly captivating the entire the entire time. It's definitely. I mean, like I said, Tara Speed. It's definitely an iconic. It's definitely an iconic piece of movie music. It's right. It has so many dramatic and unforgettable, and the score itself has so many dramatic and unforgettable moments. You know, it does have a grandeur to it. You know, and pompous. You know, kind of. You know. Fashion about it. It perfectly matches like the movie. I mean, it's just like how he just did that. I mean, what he did is nothing short of genius. It's definitely, you know, an incredible piece of work. I mean, no doubt, you know. Okay, Mike, why don't you give us number 2 on your list?
All right, my number 2 is actually kind of a 3-way tie.
Really?
And here it is. Yep. I'm choosing all 3 Star Wars movies. Well, all 3 of the original trilogy, anyway. Mm-hmm. I couldn't kind of narrow it down because all 3 of them are just so iconic and so perfect. I mean, number 1, every single. I mean, this is one of the few scores where if I listen to just the score, I can immediately, in my head, I can pick out exactly where that piece of music is taking place in the film. I can do that with all 3 movies, and it's a rare treat for me to be able to do that, because normally the scores kind of blend in, but this one, mm-hmm. it doesn't detract from the film, but it just enhances every single piece of it. Right. And I mean, in the second one, you get the Imperial March, which is just iconic in itself, and I mean, every single piece is just it makes the movie. It takes the movie from being a great trilogy to being one of the best trilogies ever created.
You say that again. The Imperial March, so iconic you don't even realize it's not in the first movie.
Yeah, I know. Dun, dun, dun. Actually, yeah. No, it's. I mean, I couldn't choose one out of the 3 to kind of make my number 2, so I just went, you know what? I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna all 3. Since it's Star Wars, I don't think anyone's gonna hold it against me.
Right. I doubt Star Wars will be the way it is if it be what it is today if they didn't get John Williams to do the music for those movies.
I agree. I mean, George Lucas, perfectionist that he is, he has said that the one thing about all the movies that he absolutely loved and would not even bother changing is the score. As soon as he heard the John Williams score, he was like, "That's perfect. That is no change necessary."
Definitely.
And we know how much he loves changing things.
Oh yeah.
That's another. We've already had that. We've already had that.
First, Greedo shooting first. Anyone?
Yeah.
God damn it.
We do not speak of that.
Okay. By the way, Colton, let's give us number 2 on your list.
Yeah, number 2 on my list is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
God.
I shall leave you as you left me, marooned for all eternity, buried alive. Buried alive. Speaking of which, that was a very good score for that moment. But yeah, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. So after the lackluster Star Trek: The Motion Picture, like I know that I said the main theme for that is what helped it feel like it was actually a motion picture, not just an episode with a bigger budget. Well, yeah. Star Trek II, the score for that movie is what really made it feel like a Star Trek movie that was actually worth the wait. Because like even though it doesn't have like the biggest of plot lines and whatnot, the score still really helps it feel like there's a very huge sense of tension between our heroes and Khan. But the moment where the Reliant closes in on the Enterprise and they have no idea that Khan is aboard, it's the kind of music. The best way to describe that moment, to describe the music, that score, is basically that something bad is about to happen, but you don't realize it yet. It's like someone knows something. Like Yeah, something bad's about to happen to you, but you don't realize it yet. And the people that do know something bad's about to happen to you are just relishing the fact that you were just blissfully unaware. And of course, the music that plays during the fight in the nebula is also well done. It's quiet when it needs to be, but when the action picks up, the music also picks up. And seeing the Enterprise appearing behind the Reliance, it's a great piece of music that you can to play alongside rising to the challenge and whatnot, finally succeeding after facing overwhelming odds for the entire film. And of course, there's the music that plays when Spock dies, and the music that plays when Khan activates the Genesis device, and our heroes are just barely able to get away at the last second. The music really helps them the tension with the scene and whatnot, and what have you. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that score. Great work.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, they were definitely the late James Horner. I mean, I don't think he really gets a lot of credit for his score, since I feel he should. He definitely, he proved, he really made quite an impression with Star Trek 2. I mean, I think it should have been nominated for an Oscar, just like the first movie score was. It's definitely a great piece.
One other part of the score that I really loved was how it was their rendition of the Star Trek theme, with Spock doing the space. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. What I liked about it is that it's sounded very somber compared to what you would usually think of when you hear those words, and it worked in this instance because Spock just died. But there's also kind of a bit of a hopeful sense to it when we see Spock's cop, the torpedo that Spock was in on the Genesis planet, and it makes you kind of think that maybe there might be a bit more to this than meets the eye, which of course there was in the rather confusing Resurrection of Spock plotline in the third film, but we'll get to that maybe in some other show.
Definitely, I mean, that is great. Definitely great. Okay, all right, we get to the creme de la creme. Our number one favorite movie score of all time, and for me, my number one favorite. This is the one. This is the one that of all others. This is the score that we can't stop listening to time and time again. For me, my favorite movie score of all time is.
I kind of thought so.
Are you doing all three, or just the first?
Just the first. Okay, it's like I don't think you can say enough of how historic and iconic and just wonderful, the score for Star Wars is. It definitely changed movie history, and that definitely. Of course, with the thing about it is with George Lucas, he was going to originally use classical musical pieces, like how Stanley Kubrick did with 2001. Because he couldn't find a composer who could write for the style of music he wanted for the film, which was an old-fashioned movie score, like they did for the adventure movies, the pirate movies of the 30s, 40s, and 50s, But thank God for Steven Spielberg, because if he didn't recommend John Williams to George Lucas, I don't know what Star Wars.
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, the score is definitely just like, it's so ingrained in your memory. It's just like every piece, every piece of it has a bit of a flair to it. Definitely, it has very strong influences. Holst, with his Planet Suite, DeVark, Walton, the score to Ben-Hur, Corngo Score Adventures of Robin Hood, but it has its own identity. That's the great thing about it. It definitely is of the it's definitely its DNA is definitely much from the golden age of Hollywood movie scores. It began the film score renaissance. It's just like it went up to the top of the Billboard charts. This is greatness, man. Johnny Williams, as he was called. He really struck gold. Because there were some great iconic themes, like the Force theme, and the Princess Leia's theme, just like the body of work that Williams creates for this whole thing. It's just like it's nothing short of. I mean, it's nothing short of. It's nothing short of nothing short of remarkable. I mean, and who doesn't love this? You know, when Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Chewbacca are getting their medal, getting their medals. I mean, Chewie didn't get his medal, which we still do not know why. But there are so many pieces of music, you know, that they are so easy for you to wrap your ear and mind around. It's definitely a score, you know, that you know is so recognizable. You know, most definitely, you know, it's just. It is so ingrained, it's so associated with Star Wars. You know, like I said, I hate to sound like a broken record, but it would be the whole everything about Star Wars. Like, if you took out John Williams, you took John Williams out of the equation. If it didn't have John Williams, it would nowhere be the success today if he hadn't worked on these films. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Fun fact about John Williams. In The Force Awakens, J.J. Abrams' regular composer actually said he was fine with not scoring this movie, and said that if he was asked to have turned it down because he feels that as long as John Williams is alive, he should score Star Wars.
Definitely, Michael Giacchino, that's his regular go-to guy. Yeah, definitely.
Who's no slouch by himself either.
Huh?
Michael Giacchino is no slouch by himself. He's quite good. He did The Inside Out, actually, I think.
Yeah, I think that was him. I'm not really sure. Yeah.
Let's see here.
I mean, he's done plenty of scores for Pixar, though.
Yeah, I know he did Up, which is a remarkable score for.
Yeah, he did Inside Out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would certainly like for Giacchino to take a crack at the Star Wars score. But you know, there's no denying the genius of John Williams. Mike, what is number one on your most favorite movie scores? You know?
All right, let's try and get this one here. Can you hear it?
No.
I can't really hear
it. Sorry, that's the last I can get it. Yeah. It's the Jaws theme song, Jaws soundtrack. That's the last I can get my phone. Sorry, but yeah, I mean, for me, this one actually is my favorite of all of John Williams' scores. I mean, I love all of them, but this one, I think is unique in that the score, especially the soundtrack for the shark itself, kind of takes the score becomes the shark for most of the scenes, because from most of the movie you don't see the shark, so the score is what tells you, hey, this is here and some deep shit's going to go down.
Definitely, you're going to need a bigger boat.
Exactly. I mean, and I've seen some specials before, where they actually take a clip of Jaws and they show it without the score, and then they show that same scene with the score, and it's light and day. The scene just lacks every punch, every bit of tension. It's all in that music.
Yeah. And
I mean, but the fact that the score has to take the place of the main villain of the movie for, I would say, 75% of the film, that is what makes this score so powerful and so preference for mine. So yeah, my number one is absolutely Jaws.
Great choice. I mean, imagine the score to Star Wars. Imagine, seeing this the opening scene, the rubber ball cake run being chased by the Star Destroyer. Imagine it without hearing the music. Would it been every bit as powerful?
No, not in the least.
It'd still be strong, but yeah, the music definitely is what really made that scene complete.
Right, definitely. So it's seeing Jaws, yeah. Yeah, the music is integral to it.
Yeah.
To the whole movie. Okay, Colton, why don't you give us number 1 on your list? What's your number 1 favorite score?
Before I say number 1, another quick honorable mention was the score for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. While my thoughts on Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone have kind of changed for the worse over the years. Like, I don't hate it, but it's kind of I feel like it's not as well put together as the rest of the franchise. But the score, however, still stands strong with me. It's the kind of score that just really it feels so magical, and it really helps yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a very magical score, and
John Williams' Hedwig's theme is absolutely. I mean, that's the song you think of when you think of Harry Potter now.
Yeah, definitely. The main titles and the music that plays at the very end of the movie, it just makes you feel like you've been transported to another world, a world that you want to rush back to as soon as the credits start to roll, you know. But anyway, my number 1 pick is.
Not surprised. Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna actually play the main theme until you guys beat me to it. So I'm like, okay, I gotta make a change then.
Hey, it's not a bad one to choose instead.
Yeah, like I said, I deliberately left off a few John Williams scores just because I had a feeling you guys might use them yourselves, like Jaws and Raiders of the Lost Ark. I didn't use them, but I cannot forego Star Wars. Like I said, it's my favorite movie of all time, and this score, it just what can I say that you guys haven't said? It works so well with it. Granted, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi have more iconic bits to them, like you said, the theme with the Imperial March isn't in the original movie. It's in Empire Strikes Back. The Emperor's theme doesn't show up until Return of the Jedi, because that's when we first see the Emperor. But this score is our first step into a much larger world, as Obi-Wan said, and it does a good job capturing the sense of adventure and wonder of the film. Like the Force theme that I just played, as Luke gazes out at the Twin Suns as they're setting. It's the Binary Sunset, I think it's called, or Luke's theme. It's called by a few names, I think. But anyway, it's somber, but it's somber and uplifting at the same time. Where Luke desires a grander life, and he has no idea that he's about to get one. Of course, it comes at the expense of his aunt and uncle. God rest their souls. But and people have a habit of dying in Star Wars. but what? I don't know. Anyway, like I said, and one of my favorite bits of the movie is scores in the film is when Luke destroys the Death Star. When he fires the proton torpedoes into the Death Star, and then our heroes fly away from it. We see that the Empire has no idea that's been done. The best way to describe that music is you've already won, but your enemies don't know that. And then. But then, let's see here. In addition to that score, another favorite of mine is when Obi-Wan gets killed off. Sure, Luke has only known Obi-Wan for a matter of hours at best, but still, when we lose him and then hear that devastating theme play as Luke just stands there and then starts blasting everything in sight, it perfectly captures his mindset, I think. And of course, every bit of the soundtrack that plays, every bit of the score that plays during the Death Star assault is iconic as well. It's especially the scene where Luke is flying down the trench and Wedge has to bail on him. Then Biggs gets shot down. It really helps. It really just makes you think that Luke is totally and utterly screwed during that moment. And then when Han comes in to save the day and blows away one of Vader's wingmen, it then suddenly becomes very hopeful at that moment. And like, okay, we're all clear, Canelo, let's pull this thing and go home. We're like, hey, we can actually win now. And then boom, the Death Star is destroyed. John Williams, you are a god among men, man. It's like even though I think The Force Awakens might be maybe the weakest of the Star Trek. Oh my God,
you're confusing them.
What is Star Trek? Star Trek?
Now you have to turn in your nerd card. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. I'm going.
Oh, no way, Colton, come back. Damn it. Oh, my goodness.
I didn't really think he's actually leave.
I was tempted not to Vulcan neck. I was tempted not to Vulcan neck pinch him or something like that, or
Colton, you will come back.
or do a mind trick on him. It's like you will not, or do a mind trick on them. It's like you will never confuse Star Wars and Star Trek again.
To be fair, one would not exist without the other, and vice versa. So it's a common problem to make mixed up between.
Definitely. Yeah. So definitely all logic.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, I disgraced my fellow Star Trek brothers. I must now throw myself in my own lightsaber. Goodbye, cruel world.
It's very painful here, folks. You know, yeah. He has a lot to make up for.
He didn't even have a Jedi second to take his head off.
All right, Colton, you can come back now.
We forgive you.
I feel so ashamed of myself for saying Star Trek when talking about Star Wars, but
I think everyone has done that at one point or another.
Anyway, like I said, even though The Force Awakens might still have one of my least favorite scores from Star Wars and whatnot, John Williams still brings out his usual genius when the moment counts in that film and whatnot. And I love how some bits from A New Hope score actually make it into The Force Awakens in a very big way. I won't say what because, well, even though I'm pretty sure everybody and their grandmother has seen this movie, but I'm not going to spoil anything in this video just so I won't have anyone coming for my head later on.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, you don't want to bring out the villagers with their pitchforks and everything like that. Definitely.
More like their lightsabers and blasters.
Yeah. A bunch of.
My favorite bit from the new Star Wars movie.
Okay, they're coming for your head now instead.
It's instrumental. Who can tell?
I don't know. Someone might be able to piece together what kind of moment that sort of soundtrack, that sort of score will be associated with. I'm kidding. Well,
if they can, then they're a better man than I.
Yeah. Nice shirt, by the way, Mike.
Oh yeah. Yes, that's the whole Bray and BB-8.
Best friends forever.
All right, great. I mean, yeah. Okay, guys. That'll do it. I mean, that was set for our top 10 favorite movie scores of all time. This is definitely a great show to do. Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm in another episode of Nerd United One podcast. Make sure to check out we will be doing a Flash Arrow recap, Legends of Tomorrow recap show, probably around Friday or Saturday, somewhere down, every one of those days down the line. But make sure to look out for that, and definitely this show was definitely a lot of fun to do. I mean, of course, and I'd like to thank the people joining me. Mike, it was a great pleasure having you on the show.
Always a blast. Thank you for having me again, and great to see you too.
Okay, all right. Colton, is that? I mean, pleasure. I mean, having you join us as well. Definitely.
I was happy to be here, in spite of my little slip up at the end.
Yeah, we can forgive you for that minor mistake.
Your sci-fi faux pas.
Okay, okay, good. Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us, and definitely next week probably be doing our top 10 Simpsons characters.
Ooh.
Top 10, characters, our favorite characters for the greatest anime sitcom of all time. So make sure you check out for that. We'll do the show around 7:30, 7:30 Monday evenings, and make sure you look out for that. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, fellow nerds around the world, and until next time.
Bye-bye.